Hello, beautiful, and welcome to another episode of Mom Talk Sex. Whoop, whoop. This is a judgment-free zone while moms get together and talk about the ins and outs, ups and downs of marriage, relationships, children, and everything in between. Today, I have the most beautiful Leannda with me. Hi, Leannda.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I can't wait to have this really interesting conversation with you today. Our topic today is going to be about sex after giving birth. What does that look like? What does it feel like? And most important, you are not alone. So,
Yeah,
Leanna, how about you introduce yourself to our beautiful listeners and we'll go from there.
perfect. So, as you said, my name is Leannda, and I am a resilience coach. I work with women in their 30s and 40s who have done everything that the world and society has told us to do to be happy. Like we went to college, or we did a career, or we got married, and then we got a house, and then we had kids, and then we got 2.5 dogs. And then one day we wake up and go, I am absolutely miserable. And I don't know how I got so far away from who I am, and I don't know how to get back to her. And so I work with women setting their goals, but I use the basis of boundaries, decluttering, routines, and reawakening your creativity to build up that like really resilient foundation. So like you can like come back to yourself.
I love that so much. And how does that come to life in your clients' relationships and in their sex life?
I think, I feel like it's a very kind of like a black or white thing. Like it either completely improves the current relationships that they're in and they thrive because like they're being able to come to the table completely themselves and their partners are receptive to that. Or there's like the flip side of, they're evolving and changing and then realizing that like their partner isn't, or that their partner is probably never going to, but they're able to like see it clearly and they're able to like make that decision for themselves. So it's kind of like it either like their love lives and their partnerships completely thrive, or they're able to get out of a relationship that's not thriving, but have the confidence to pursue one that can.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about, you got pregnant, you're in this
Mhm.
beautiful marriage, and everything is going wonderful. And then you have a baby and everything changes.
Oh, so much. And like I remember before we had our daughter that our marriage was like the strongest it ever been. Like that last 6 weeks before she was born, like we were such a team. We were like on the same level. Like I was so miserable and so impatient and angry and just, ready to like, get on with it already. And he was fantastic. And then she was born, and in like 4 days, it all changed. The whole dynamic of our relationship shifted. And I don't know if it ever really like recovered from it.
And do you think the shift came from your like awakening, as to speak, or like what do you think was the biggest shift?
I think part of it was that like my whole world didn't revolve around him anymore. That now it revolved around this, tiny little creature. Um and just like, like you can read all the books, you can listen to all the podcasts, you can talk to all of your friends, but like nothing really prepares you for, the fact that like after a couple of days, they're just like, here's this little human, like go home and, don't kill it. And or like don't let it die, like that sounded, people know what I mean when I say
Yeah.
that. But and I think it's like nobody really, like you can say like, okay, I'm gonna help, I'm gonna help with the midnight feedings, or I'm gonna, like for instance in our house, he was like, I will cook you all the food you need, like you just take care of her. And for me, about 4 days after she was born, when my milk came in, I was the hungriest I have ever been in my life. And it wasn't like I was eating like 3 meals a day and a couple of snacks. It was like I was eating 6 meals a day. And he looked at me and he was like, I know I said I'd cook, but like, this is crazy. This is a lot. And I'm like, oh, okay, and so I think what changed was like I had to, at that moment, I realized that I was going to have to rely on myself to do what needed to be done, not only to like take care of her, but like to take care of myself. That like I couldn't really rely on him. And I think that for me was the shift. I think the shift for him was that he didn't get all of my love and attention anymore. And the shift for me was that, okay, cool, like this is too much for you. So I'm just gonna like deal with it all myself.
And I think as women, we're so good at just doing that and kind of
Mm-hmm.
letting men off the hook and taking over and taking control.
Mm-hmm.
And we're these surviving types, right?
Yeah.
We're
And
like,
that's,
I'm going to fight for our family. I'm going to fight for my children. I'm going to fight for myself. I'm not going to fight for you, though.
mm-hmm,
And so many times I think, like, in a way, we can use even sex to punish our partners.
absolutely. And I don't think it's necessarily like, I think there comes a time that it's a coherent punishment
Yeah.
that, you are like, I'm not, no, why should I? Why should I do this thing that you really want when like I'm not getting any of my needs like met?
Right.
But I think at the beginning, at least for me, it was more of just like, I don't want to, I think, like we have like the 8-week appointment or 6 weeks, 6 to 8 week appointment after, and it's like, they're like waiting at the door for you when you get home because they're just like, all right, it's go time, And for me, there was, even though I had like a good birth and a good birth experience, like I didn't know after having something come out of me if I ever wanted anything to go back in me.
Yeah. And I think so many women deal with that. And to
Yeah,
be
because
honest, doing the work I do with women's bodies, I see all the time how if we have any kind of unresolved trauma that we haven't dealt with, especially if it's related to sexual stuff, when a baby comes, it really goes through that birthing canal and brings everything up. Even if we're
Mhm.
aware of it and even if we're not aware of it, all the emotions, all the trauma that was there, all the experiences that maybe we kind of pushed down and didn't address, they kind of float up energetically. And I think so much of that happens because a baby comes in and they want the mom to heal so they can have a healed mom that could really take care of them, right?
Mhm.
And I think in a way it's the baby's way to bring this stuff up so it can clear and heal. But so many of us, we think, oh, it's just, postpartum depression. Oh, it's just, because I'm not connected to who I am. But a lot of times I feel like there's so much more depth to what happens when you give birth that we're just not aware of.
Mhm. No, absolutely. That's beautiful. And I've never really taken the time. Like I knew it brought stuff up, but like I've never really taken the time to like acknowledge it in like the way you just said that.
And so many times we're so busy and we're so tired and we're so emotional that we don't even, that we're not even in the space, in the mind space, right? And so
Mhm.
we kind of just dive into everything we have to do and everything we have to do to survive and move on and be okay. Like you said, like, I'm fine, everything is fine. Well, and so many of us are not really fine. And it kind of gets thrown in between everything that we have to do. It's so easy to just forget
Mhm.
and neglect it. And then, a year later, when life starts to be normal again, and maybe you're sleeping again and eating more normal, and as trying to get back to yourself, you're like, well, why am I so disconnected from who I am?
Mhm. And also like being really disconnected like from your body.
Hmm.
At least that was like my experience was like I, I did this thing that we're literally, we're put on this planet, this plane, like however you believe we came to be, like that's literally what our bodies were made to do. And I tell every single one of my friends who's getting ready to give birth and they're nervous, I'm like, I understand, but like just in the back of your mind, remember, like this is literally what we were made to do. This is the most natural thing that we will do our whole lives.
Yes.
Um, but like it doesn't, even though it's supernatural, it doesn't mean that it's not still like there's no way to prepare for it. Like I said earlier, like it's,
Yeah.
and then it's
There's,
like, and your body changes, things shift around, like literally all of your intestines completely move places while you're pregnant,
Right.
and it's like they don't really land where they were in the first. And and it's like I gained a lot of weight when I was pregnant, and and then like when my daughter was born, like I had some tearing and things like that, and I remember just being like absolutely terrified to even look down there. Like I didn't even know what to expect, like I had this vision in my head of like this mangled mess, and so like for months like I wouldn't even look,
Yeah.
because I was just like, oh my gosh, like what happened down there, and then comes the 8-week appointment and the green light to have sex again, and you're just like, okay, like I don't know if I'm ready for this. Like I know you're ready for it, I know you've been waiting for it, honey, but like I'm still like processing that this all even happened to me, let alone like that I know things are going to be different, and like I might need a little bit more time to like sit with that, and then also that it's probably not going to feel good. Like just because we can doesn't mean that there's not any pain, doesn't mean that there it took I think like over a year and a half for it to be like pain free for me afterwards.
Yeah.
And and it's like they don't, they have the luxury of not having to deal with those thoughts, like they might have seen it happen, they might have been there, like my husband saw the whole thing happen, and like he wasn't scared to like get back in there, but like I was.
Yeah.
And something that I wish that I had now was the awareness of like your pelvic floor. Like I feel like this is an area that is so lacking in our healthcare system, is like pelvic floor therapy and pelvic floor like awareness, especially like after you have a child. Like to me, that should be, now that I know what I know, like that should be part of like your postpartum recovery. It shouldn't be, here's your baby, we'll see you in 6 weeks. It's here's your baby, come in 3 weeks and we're going to start working on your pelvic floor.
Yeah. I
We're
agree.
going to start like healing this, we're going to start healing you. And so like, and I've been blessed, like I know a lot of women when they give birth, and I hope people who listen don't hate me for this, but like I don't have the, like I can do jumping jacks and I can run and I can laugh and sneeze and like I don't have any issues, but it's like a lot of women do, and it's like
Right.
how many of them have been like talked to about their pelvic floor,
Right.
or talk to them about all of the feelings that they're feeling. Like I waited over a year before going back to my therapist. And it's like, if I could do it again, I would have been going to therapy like a week after she was born. Like, and it's these things that like I want women to be aware of, is that like there's so many resources that like your doctors aren't going to tell you about.
And also, I think it's because you're not aware that you need them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have this utopian feeling of like, I'm going to have a baby, everything is going to be amazing, and it's the like happily ever after. And then it happens and you're completely thrown into a loop and you have no idea what you really stepped into. Like you said, until you're there, you don't really know. And
Mm-mm.
we all have different needs, and some of us have amazing experiences, right? And some of my girlfriends were having sex 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in. They didn't even wait for the 6 weeks. And then some of them waited 6 months because they just couldn't. So the point of this podcast today is just to let you know that wherever you are on your journey, you are okay. There is no
Mm-hmm.
right or wrong here, right? We all have different bodies, different relationships, different experiences. And the most important thing is to just step out of judgment and be aware of, where you need help and
Mm-hmm.
what is it that you need help with, and start reaching out to your community, to your doctor, to the people around you, to us, because we're here to help you. Um,
Absolutely.
and for you to know that you're definitely not alone in any of this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I remember like, and I think that's so important. Like now, like, because like you have your baby, up until you have the baby, everyone's asking how you're doing. How are you feeling? How are you sleeping? Whatever. And then you have the baby and nobody's asking about you anymore.
Right.
How's the baby doing? How are they eating? How are they sleeping? What's their poop like? Like, and you're like, hello, I'm like, she wouldn't be here without me. I'm actually the star of this show. Like,
Right.
and so it's like it's made me become, I feel like, a better friend to like my friends that are having kids. Is like, your baby's adorable and I'll love on your baby, but like I'm here for you. Like,
Yeah.
what do you need? What do you need to talk about? What are you going through? Like, how can I support you? Like, your baby's going to be fine. They're going to grow and they're going to poop and they're going to, make cute faces and everything. But like, how are you doing?
Right.
And
Exactly.
I think that's so important to be aware of is like, don't forget about the mothers in your life. And also like, don't forget about like yourself and that you matter and that it's okay to, yes, like be a great mom, but like part of being a great mom is like taking care of yourself. And that's not selfish. It's not selfish.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for this amazing conversation. If people want to find you, how can they reach you? Where can they find you?
So they can visit me on my website, which is theresilience.coach. And it's the same actually on Instagram. So I make it nice and easy.
I love that. That is awesome. And I love the word resilience, because I feel like we need to be resilient, raising children, being in relationships. It's perfect.
Absolutely. Yep. Resiliency is, and it's not just being strong. Like we are strong
Right.
women. As women, we are strong. Like it's about having a foundation so you can continue to be strong.
Yes, I love that. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with me here today. And thank you guys for listening. And we'll see you again next episode. Bye.
Thank you.